A quick update video for you about the Manitoba wildfire situation, particular Nopiming Provincial Park and the boreal caribou that lived in that region. We're in my home office. This is something very personal and real for me. There's pictures of Nopiming and these areas that burnt on the wall already. So I'm going to show you through my screens here what I've been looking at. 3 fires burning in Manitoba. There's the Lactobani fire, the tragic loss of life from that one. There's the Whiteshell fire, started in Ontario and burnt into Whiteshell here. There's Ingulf. And there's the Nopiming fire. You can see how much bigger the Nopiming fire is than everything else. Gonna roll in a little bit quicker here. There's Ingulf. This is the Manitoba Trail that was at risk. The Trans-Canada Highway was at risk. West Hawk Lake was at risk. And Caddy Lake cottages. Plus, if it went this direction, we would be getting into much more intense cottage and campground regions. The Nopiming fire, the barriers sort of Nopiming here. This is the Winnipeg River, the bottom of the park. There's Bird Lake, which we're familiar with, and Manitoba Lake and Caribou Landing up here. That's Long Lake, which is sort of the top of the park. You can see that the fire was burning towards the Point Bois generating station. That caused where we had to put some of our firefighting resources. That's the Burnick Lake Tanko mine. A lot of energy had to go in if they were going to stop that fire from burning south into Tanko, where they did. And then this fire going south, this is cottages along the Bird Lake. Then we also have Davidson, Flanders, Booster Lake in here as well, cottage areas. We go into the park itself. The layers when you get into Nopiming is you're in rural, you see lots of cottages, you're in cottage country, and then suddenly you turn the corner and you get into the forest. Now this map next to me here is the forest age class. There's a strip in the middle here. There's Flintstone Lake, which is Flintstone Lake. This strip in the middle is where the caribou live, and you can see that a huge chunk of it is gone. This is the core old forest in Nopiming Provincial Park. The Black Lake Campground had to have been affected. Campgrounds on the back end of Shoe Lake would have been affected. There's a little wayside on Tooth Lake as well that you can walk into. So the areas that we see, that we stop and visit in Nopiming, have been affected by these fires. But I want to tell you a little bit about where caribou go. Back in 2007, the Manitoba government allowed Tembec to log area that the caribou needed to live, this section along the Manitoba Lake, Caribou Landing. They made experimental clear cuts bigger than they would usually allow because the logging company said they were going to make future caribou habitat, even though it was current caribou habitat. This was a bad mistake, and what it means now, when the caribou's home has burnt here, they don't have this area to go to because the logging companies took it in 2007 and the Manitoba government approved that. The decisions that we make about doing things on this map here, you'll see a proposed protected area. That came from the Manitoba government, an action plan on caribou that we have never, this was a draft plan from 2011, it's never been finalized. That's where this data and suggestion came from. In 2015, the Manitoba government put a draft plan on managing Nopiming, but this was missing a bunch of things, and we published something called the Green Print for Nopiming. On the back, you'll see calling out the proposal for protection that was missing, that was in here for caribou, but also climate change adaptation planning, knowing that we're going to have these problems and not dealing with it. Our parks need to be expanded. We need to think about what wildfires mean for the boreal forest. We need to act on climate and get off of fossil fuels. We need to protect caribou. Here's a 2015 caribou report from the federal government. This is 1998 from the Manitoba government, 2000 from the Manitoba government, 1993 from the Manitoba government. There's a stack of them that we haven't paid attention to, and they all say protect more habitat for caribou. These wildfires have caused devastation for wild species, and as Manitobans, we have to change the impact that we're having on nature, because nature is our life support system. I'm Eric in the home office with all of my screens for the Wilderness Committee.